Steelers up 6-0 after missing the extra point, so sloppy played the storyline later in the first. After a muffed punt, Ravens 2nd and go. No Mark Ingram, no J.K. Dobbins. There's Edwards, and it's Baltimore up 7-6 against the undefeated Steelers. Then RG3. He can still do this. 3rd and 11 and moving the sticks and plenty more past midfield, 39 yards into Steelers territory. Now watch, clock running down late. 14 seconds left in the first half. They need to move fast. No timeouts. No timeouts. Luke Wilson, no. He can't hold on, and there's no time on the clock, so they can't get a field goal. It's 12-7 at the break. Then in the third, 2nd and 12. T.J. Watt gets the sack on RG3. 11 sacks on the season. He leads the league. That is T.J. Ravens force the punt. Then Roethlisberger. No James Conner. Finding Juju Smith. End zone. Steelers up 19-7 now. And RG3 on the sidelines. Oh no, the hammy iced up. In comes the third stringer, Trace McSorley. Well, second stringer on the depth chart today. The Penn State product. Ooh, to Hollywood Brown. We see you, Marquise. Little hesitation, and then he'll go in for the score. 70 yards. McSorley's first career touchdown. The Ravens within 5. But the Steelers, final 3 minutes, big 3rd and 6. Conversion. Double team. James Washington holds on. They would run out the clock. And the Steelers, they get the W, 19-14. They are now 11-0. McSorley, you see 77 yards. Coming in trying for the comeback. But Benny Snell filling in for James Conner. 16 rushes, 60 yards, and the win. And with that, the Steelers are the 3rd team in the last 10 seasons to start 11-0. First since that Panthers squad in 2015. Of those, only Carolina reached the Super Bowl. Pittsburgh seeking to become the first team since the Saints in 2009 to start at least 11-0 and go on to win the Super Bowl in the same season. Sage?
Bring in Mike Tannenbaum now to break this game down team by team. Mike, good to have you here. Let's start with Baltimore, dropping to 6-5 now. That means they're tied with the Raiders for 8th place in the AFC. So if you're a Ravens fan, how concerned should you be at this point about them making the playoffs?
You know, Sage, I still think there's a good window. They have a lot of winnable games. I think they can go on a roll. They play teams like Dallas, Jacksonville, Cincinnati. Obviously, they're going to get Lamar Jackson back, and hopefully they'll get back a lot of their frontline players. Look, they play Pittsburgh toe-to-toe. That game came down literally to the last measurement in the last drive. So they are not dead. And remember, Sage, 7 teams make the playoffs. So I still think they could be well in that 7, maybe 6 seed because they have so many winnable games down the stretch.
And again, such a tough week for both teams, not just the Ravens, the Steelers too. But obviously they pulled this one out. 11-0, Mike. It's not often we get to say that. They are the FBI favorites in each of their 5 remaining games. We can take a look at that schedule. Washington, Indianapolis at home. Then they've got 3 road games at Buffalo, Cincinnati, and Cleveland. What do you say, Tannenbaum? Do the Steelers run the table?
I say they don't. And I think 2 teams in particular, Sage, Buffalo and Indy, 2 teams that are physical, well-coached, and I think they can stay there toe-to-toe with Pittsburgh. So Pittsburgh has a lot to be proud of, but to go undefeated, I think that's a heavy lift. And we got to remember this, Sage, only 1 team gets a bye this year. So if they lose 1 game, now they're in jeopardy of not even having the 1 seed in the AFC. So they have a ton to play for over the last 5 games.
Yeah, and especially, again, that second game here 2 weeks from now at Buffalo. We'll see. But right now, they can say they pulled this one out. 11-0 are the Steelers after beating the Ravens at home to finally wrap up Week 12. Thank you, Mike. Kevin?
Sage, let's bring in a former Steeler. That is Ryan Clark joining us now. And Ryan, you had the chance to watch this game. After watching especially the sloppy start on both sides, were you okay that this game was played?
Yeah, I mean, it's a football game. And in football games and football seasons, you're going to have adversity. And especially in 2020, you know, if they're going to decide to put on the season, if you're going to say it's going to be a 16-game season within 17 weeks, you're going to have some of these issues. And you know, Roger Goodell came on at halftime and said that the issue was containment. They felt like they had protected all parties involved and that this game had the ability to go on. And it did. I mean, it's a Wednesday. It's 3:40. It's been postponed since last Thursday. So you're going to have some sloppy play. But the thing is, everyone who was involved had the same circumstances. They had the same issues, had to play at the same time with the same delays. And so fair is fair. The game went on. The outcome was what it was.
Okay, I want you to clarify something because you can misconstrue anything you read on Twitter. You were tweeting during the game here. I don't care what you tell me. The team playing in black today can't beat Kansas City. Why?
Well, when you look at the way they were performing on offense, especially third down, red zone, early on in the game, they weren't efficient. They weren't sharp. It was missed balls, drop catches. Ben missed a couple of throws as well. And when you play offense like that against the Kansas City Chiefs and you're not constantly putting pressure on Patrick Mahomes, there's no way that you can win the football game. And then also look at the way that they were dominated at times up front by the Baltimore Ravens offensive line. We knew they had to run the ball. You knew it was going to be RG3, heavy dose of Gus Edwards, heavy dose of Hill. And there were times where the Pittsburgh Steelers couldn't stop them, and we watched them be dominated a few weeks ago when they faced the Baltimore Ravens as well. This Pittsburgh Steelers team can't beat the Kansas City Chiefs. Not the team as a whole, not the team that's 11-0, but the way they played today didn't look to me like a team that's ascending or a team that could challenge the reigning Super Bowl champs.
Okay, and right now, Steeler fans, I'm sure they're telling you it's December 2nd. We'll see how the next month will play out. And of course,
well, they keep telling me it's Wednesday.
It is a Wednesday to have the Ravens and Steelers face off, despite pushing it back 3 times due to a COVID outbreak among Ravens players and staff. After 10 straight days of positive tests, today all members of the Ravens traveling party returned negative test results. NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell earlier today on the league's approach as they have yet to cancel a football game.
It's a remarkable achievement to reach this point, and we are proud of the players, the coaches, and all personnel for their tireless work and commitment. But we were only 3 quarters through the regular season, and like our teams, we are focused on finishing strong, and we are on the path to do that. Let me be crystal clear, as we have been with our club since last March. Health and medical decisions have and always will take precedence over competitive considerations and business interests. We will not postpone or reschedule games due to COVID issues affecting multiple players, even within a position group, if we feel comfortable that the rest of the team is not at risk. We need a continued partnership and discipline to make sure we complete the season, and it will take all of us to do that.
NFL insider Dan Graziano joining us now with much more. So 12 weeks in, the NFL is coming off the toughest week so far as the pandemic had the biggest impact on games. What did Goodell say about what the league has learned so far about how to continue moving on?
Yeah, they're happy with the way, Kevin, that their protocols are working in terms of identifying cases early. Dr. Alan Sills, the league's chief medical officer, said on that same call that about 70% of the positive tests are asymptomatic. So that tells them that they're catching the virus early and they're able to isolate and keep it from spreading, except in a couple of cases. Obviously, Baltimore last week, Tennessee earlier in the year. But, you know, I think Goodell had this conference call today to address the question of why the Ravens game was postponed and the Broncos game wasn't. That seems to be kicking around a lot this week. But also just sort of address the fact that, yes, they've gotten this far. So far, as of tonight, every game that was scheduled to have been played by now will have been played. They're proud of that, but they're not taking any victory laps. The next 5 weeks and the postseason beyond are going to be an even greater challenge than what's come before, and I think he just wanted to get that message out.
Okay, you mentioned the postseason. As COVID rates continue to rise throughout the country, what's the commissioner's approach to the playoffs?
So he said they've been having conversations for the past several weeks about what to do about the postseason, acknowledging that it's a different situation than the regular season. You know, you don't want, if you can help it, obviously, teams to show up shorthanded for a playoff game. You won't be able to postpone them really without delaying the entire schedule. So they've talked about a number of things. Sean Payton, the Saints coach, who's on the competition committee, has proposed the idea of a playoff bubble, like an NBA-style bubble for the postseason. But listening to the commissioner today, it does not sound like that's something the league really wants to do. They really do believe that their testing and tracing protocols will work if followed. You may see individual teams kind of bubble up for the playoffs, maybe put all their players in a hotel and make sure everybody's staying there for as long as they're alive in the playoffs. But it doesn't